There we go. Thank you. So, all right. You want to?
Yeah, our values. So our values as created by our staff people of 11 are community, intersectionality, accessibility, creativity, equity and anti-racism, accountability, and liberation. These are sort of our guiding principles, our as kind of created through the community of staff people that we have. And I think our plan is to continue to look at them to make sure they feel relevant to the work that we're doing, to the people that are coming to our center, and to the core of what we aim to achieve at the organization.
So we have a vision for a North Bay where LGBTQIA2S+ people, especially folks living at the intersection of multiple marginalized identities, have equitable access to resources, feel a sense of safety and belonging rooted in communities of care, and can live authentic, thriving, interconnected lives. And we've got this really cute photo of some of our staff members, Marion, Nico, and Crimson. This is them at the youth leader. They make up a portion of our youth leadership team, and this is them at the statewide Elevate Youth California Convention in Sacramento. And I think the next slide, yep, I want to talk a little bit about our programs, but first I want to just tell you like where we are, who we are, what we're doing. So we are Santa Rosa, Sonoma County, North Bay's LGBTQIA Center. We have a lot of programs here that Jess will tell you about in a second, but we're literally right around the corner from the Hive. We're at 200 Montgomery Drive. We're in Suite C downstairs, and we have open drop-in center hours that Jess will tell you about here in a second.
So we've got a lot going on, both in our center, around the county, and also virtually. We know that that is an important part of accessibility, is to make sure we retain our virtual services when and where we can. So at our core, we were founded by an MFT, a marriage and family therapist, in 1990 in response to the...
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought I was muted. I was moving my dog.
Okay. Okay,
You're good, Celeste. You're good.
If you have questions, just shout them out. Also,
Oh
if
my
you
God,
talk
I'm
to your
so
dog,
sorry.
shout them. No, you're all good. Yes, if you all have questions, shout them out, please. I don't know if we can see the chat pop up if you're asking questions in the chat, but just feel free to shout them out. So we were created out of an incredibly disastrous time for our community, the height of the AIDS epidemic through the late 80s. And we were founded in a response to the absolute death and destruction that was happening for the queer and trans community of that time. And Jim Foster and Beverly Laird, both therapists, we're seeing just a lot of the same type of person walking into their therapy offices and looking for the same thing, which was community connection in a time that was incredibly dangerous. And so they started a peer support space. They started a space where young, at the time, gay men were able to come in and build community with one another. And at the core, that is what we still do, is create spaces for community connection, just in a lot of different ways. So peer support groups are what we do most frequently. We've got groups for youth, we've got groups for adult, we've also got groups in Spanish entirely. Chase also mentioned the drop-in center, which is a really great opportunity for folks to come in and if you are needing things like resource navigation, if you're needing just a friend to talk to or someone to connect with, if you're wanting just some quiet space, we've got a really cool library, transformation station, free clothing closet, similar to what y'all have got here, and also a food pantry. So a really great environment, similar to this vibe here at the Hive, where it just feels like a place where you can come and be yourself. We also do things like a queer art club monthly with young people. We've got Cutie BIPOC hangouts, social Saturdays. We also do a therapy fund. So we do an LGBTQ therapy fund. I know it's on a slide in a little bit in partnership with On the Margins. We have a youth leadership development program. We do a lot of training and education out in the community. And we also do a ton of different outreach events and activities. So if you can think about it, we probably do it. If it's not on here, we don't do it yet, and you want to do it, come do it with us.
Yeah, or we can do it as part of the LGBTQ committee.
Yeah.
I want to backpedal just a little bit, and there's another acronym we might not all be familiar with, QT BIPOC. That stands for Queer, Trans, Black, Indigenous People of Color, and that is an affinity space where the participants are folks that identify as both queer or trans, or queer and trans, and as people of color. So that's one of our affinity space programs. All right. So this is our bilingual bicultural programming. Many moons ago, Positive Images really didn't have language access for individuals that are monolingual Spanish speakers. About 2-ish years ago now, we were able to expand and hire both Lau and Ronimar. Lau is who's pictured here. And since then, we've seen a huge rush of folks coming into the center that are monolingual Spanish speakers and are in desperate need of support and community. So, you know, this says some stuff, but ultimately what that culminated in was a bunch of really cool community events where not only were our bilingual team going out to places like Cloverdale and rural areas that were not being serviced, especially for their queer folks in those communities, and establishing relationships with organizations like La Familia Sana and some of that work. But they also did things like put on a giant baile de joteria at Mitote Food Park, which I don't know if anybody went, but it was the party of the century. People still come up and talk to us about it. And ultimately, that all culminated in our now weekly monolingual Spanish support group, Grupo de Apoyo.
Baile de jotería.
Baile de jotería, que viva la jotería. And yeah.
LGBTQIA Therapy Fund, as we mentioned, we do provide, similar to the Black Therapy Fund, we do provide funding for individuals to get connected with culturally and linguistically responsive therapy through our partners at On the Margins. That has been a small but incredibly impactful space to make sure that we are getting folks who are in the most need in to see therapists who match their identity.
What is the DRA before Danny's name?
Doctora. Yeah, Doctora Danny Dominguez. Thanks for asking. And now here's a little bit more about our Q2 BIPOC Hangout program. So in recognition of the lack of spaces for queer communities of color, this program was created by one of our queer staff members of color and has been running monthly ever since. It's actually happening literally right now at PI while we're all here. They just went and picked up some pizzas. What are they doing this evening?
They're hosting a fix-it workshop. So we have a friend who is coming in to teach like basic skills like mending your sock. Or like sewing articles of clothing back together, things that I did not certainly get an access to that type of education when I was young and in school. So kind of like an arts night, but also like a fix it, learn a new skill type of night.
Yeah, and it's a range of things that happen in this space. The photos here are from a professional headshot and also just like kind of fun photo shoot night where folks were able to get like professional headshots for themselves for free from local photographers like QT with a camera. But we've also done things, they've done things in this group, like go out to the river with a bunch of paddle boards and just hang out and exist in space like that. And then some culturally connected spaces as well. So here's some of the things people have said about QT BIPOC Hangout. Marion is our lead on this one. Marion's cultivated an affirming and welcoming space. It's great connecting with beautiful folks from the community and the PI team. It was so sweet and nice to just be around other QT BIPOC. I only know white queer people locally my age. And please continue to host more QT BIPOC spaces. So definitely a core program that is central to the kind of work that we as an organization strive to do.
Youth leadership is an important part of our organization, and it has been since our inception. We currently have a youth leadership program where we have young people who are working on their own personal professional development skills, specifically in things like peer support and group facilitation. And then those young people on this team actually facilitate their own groups for their own peers. There's, of course, adults in the room. They would
including clinician.
Including a clinician. But the room is, it's led by and for youth at its core. So they work in tandem with their coaches, their leadership coaches, and with a clinician in the space to make sure that we are providing spaces for young people that they actually want to be in. And it's a really great and interesting component to see what young people actually design when you give them the freedom and the skills and the resources to design for themselves.
And some of it's really innovative and some of it's really silly. Like, why did we name our November theme last year Transgender November? I don't know, but
We
kind of
did.
hilarious and
We did.
iconic, you know? So here's a little bit about the needs assessment. I think some of y'all might have been in person at the needs assessment launch, but we recognized a total gap in a lot of the data in the county around what queer people need, especially around social determinants of health. So we decided to leap forward and do it ourselves. We did a really huge data collection process that included some qualitative, some quantitative, an iterative coding process, bringing this information back to the community, getting feedback on it. Are we telling your stories correctly? And then it all came together in a report, which we launched at an event we called Queer Insights. We had our very own Dimitra as one of the panelists, alongside some of our other community partners like Lena from MBOP, Celicia from LGBTQ Connection, and Angie Shore from First Five Sonoma County. These reports are totally available. They're everybody's now. We'd love for you to check them out. But I wanted to go ahead and give y'all, divert from talking about PI for a second and talk a little bit about what we actually found in this report, especially as it relates to disaggregating along race and gender. One of the core parts of the project was asking community members in their own words, what are your 4 top needs as a queer person in Sonoma County? And through a grouping process, we were able to bring all of those into 4 top needs. So 71.6% of our respondents said that community is their #1 need in this county, which is really telling about how disconnected we've all become, especially post-COVID. People are really yearning for connection, which is why we are employed. People need that, and they need it to be facilitated in some ways. Our second highest need at 37.4% was housing. I mean, look at that gap. Like 71% said that's incredible. 37.4% said that housing was a great need. 29.6% said economic resources, and 22.4% said safety. And this encompasses mental, physical, and emotional safety. But some of the really interesting information, and I encourage you to read the full report. There's a lot of beautiful narrative, a lot of qualitative data that I couldn't capture in one slide here. But when we disaggregated our results based on race and gender, because we also asked our folks to rank their access to some key social determinants of health, the disparities were wild. And then the disparities we expected, of course, too. But it's nice that now we can say, here's the data. So the like high and low of it, right? These are the 5 categories of social determinants of health that had the most interesting disparities: community, safe housing, living wage, mental health care, and education. This blue line here, the darkest blue line, the one furthest to the margins of this graph, is gender diverse people of color. So that's trans people, non-binary people, gender non-conforming people who also identify as people of color. And you can see that they are literally closest to the margins of access for every single one of these out of all the other categories. And unsurprisingly, white cisgender individuals, so people that identify as the same sex that they were assigned at birth, who also identify as white, have some of the greatest access to these things. So this data has been really impactful, and we've been able to give it to county departments. We've been able to give it to partner organizations, and hopefully we're going to see some good come from it. And hopefully, if y'all haven't seen it yet, you might take a peek at it and find a way that you can use this data moving forward. Any questions on the needs assessment before I move forward?
Yeah, how do we get it?
Yeah, there was a QR code back here, but I also have the links I'm going to drop in chat, and I can send them to you for sure too. They're also available on our website in both English and Spanish, completely back-end translated, so it's good to go. And then we'll be really,
I really like the design, you guys.
Thank you. I did that myself. I also did all the translation myself.
Very well done.
Thank you. And then we're also releasing the extended dependency, so like almost the raw data before the end of this month, which is really exciting as well. And now Jess will tell you about training
and consultation. So we have an entire training and education department. I mean, that makes it sound fancy. It's really like 1.5 people.
Yeah.
But it's an entire department that is dedicated to training folks in the community about how to increase their allyship. And so we offer them both virtually and in person. It is incredibly important for folks within our school systems, in businesses, health organizations, government organizations, like for us to be able to deliver the information and share, like, this is how queer and trans people, this is what we've learned from our needs assessment. And this is like what the queer and trans people who are walking into your doors kind of need. And this is how you can best take care of them. This is how you can actively be an ally to us and show that your allyship is a verb. So we do this throughout the entire community. And now, unfortunately, because Marin County just recently within the last year lost their LGBTQ center, we are starting to get a lot of asks to do this work within Marin County as well. And for 1.5 people, it's a lot. But it's an incredibly important part of our mission to make sure that we are not only taking care of our community members, but we are also creating conditions within the general community for us to thrive.
Speaking of losing the center in Marin, fun fact about Positive Images, we are the only LGBT center between San Francisco and Humboldt. So that is a huge geographic region, and we regularly see folks from Lake County coming out to use our center or joining us virtually. So the need is really, really high right now, and we're lucky to have partners that are in very similar lanes to us. One being LGBTQ Connection, who does advocacy, and they're based in Sonoma and Napa counties, and now also our newly formed LGBTQ committee of not a Positive Images at the NAACP. Very exciting. So a lot of need, very little opportunity. All right, and then I also wanted to share a little bit about some of the cool collabs that PI has been able to do with NAACP over the past 2 years. The first of which I wanted to share was our Black Liberation is Queer Liberation event, which was a hybrid Zoom and in-person offering where we got schooled by Lazarus Letcher, who taught us about, the innate connection between both the queer liberation story and the Black liberation story. And it was honestly the best academic setting lecture I've ever been in. So it's actually still available online. If you go on our website, you can go to Never Stop Learning or Resources, Never Stop Learning, and it's the first one right there. But that was a really awesome project we were able to accomplish in partnership. And then most recently, as I shared earlier during the committee report out, NAACP Sonoma Santa Rosa, we were responsible for bringing the safety team together, and happy to report no safety issues for our Trans Day of Visibility on March 29th this year. It was a really awesome event where we had 180 participants show up. So that was another really cool opportunity to work together. And then the one that's not on here was last year's Social Justice League, which was our Pride contingency that was made up of some NAACP members, some PI members, some NBOP members. We had these cool bandanas that said Social Justice League on it, superhero themed. But so we hope to continue to be in good partnership with each other and keep doing cool shit.
Quotes, love them.
You love
They're
a
great.
quote. Yeah.
I love a quote. Yeah, I mean, I think you all can read them if you would like. I think the thing that I come away most from doing this work is just a feeling of loneliness, right? Like people, we are battling an epidemic of loneliness and people and disconnection, and people are coming to us just to feel like they are not alone in the world. And if we can do that for one person, 10 people, or 100 people in a year, that is great. But we also can't do this work alone. We know that there are lanes that we operate in really well and ones we do not. And I think the importance of our partnerships over the last couple of years has really solidified our understanding of like, we need to do this in active partnership with other people. And so I think that's partially why we're here and why we are, wanting to be in this work, in this relationship with you.
Yeah. And we'd love to invite you all to come into our
Yeah.
center during our open drop-in hours and check it out and see it anytime you like. We're open from Tuesday to Friday from noon to 6 p.m. every single week, except for the first week of July because we need a vacation.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Wait, don't answer.
Uh-huh.
Interrupt the recording.
Okay.